Hello Bama fans! The new nil context has shown that it is a new era, to the point that even a former Bama QB gave his opinion on an event involving Auburn and a QB. At the end of the video, I want to see your registration and combined comment. The arrival of Jackson Arnold at Auburn, with rumors of $1 million nil deal, brought to the surface debates that are reshaping college football, including at Bama itself. While the amounts of more than $1.5 million per year are impressive, they also raise questions about the impact of nil on the sport, especially among programs seeking to establish themselves in the competitive scenario. And, without a doubt, the statement by A.J. McCarron, an Alabama icon, reflects the discomfort that this new financial context causes in former athletes who played in a completely different era. McCarron, who enjoyed his glory days at Alabama under Nick Saban, is certainly perplexed by what he considers an inflated price for a quarterback who has been inconsistent at Oklahoma. His comments, while critical, highlight a valid point: how much potential or promise of talent counts in a scenario where money and marketing are beginning to rival on-field performance as determining factors in recruiting. The criticism of Arnold's performance in 2024 is relevant. Despite showing flashes of talent with nearly 1,500 passing yards and 12 touchdowns, his inconsistency, evidenced by difficult moments like the game against Tennessee, fuels doubts about his ability to lead a program like Auburn. Hugh Freeze, however, saw something that convinced him to invest heavily in Arnold, and the nil system itself allows decisions like this to gain prominence. This context is intriguing for programs like Alabama. Historically, the Crimson Tide have built their dominance on on-field excellence, led by Saban, who was openly critical of the nil as it was reported. But even Saban has come to terms with the new reality, knowing that college sports are undergoing an irreversible transformation. Now, under Kalen DeBoer, Alabama must also adjust its approach to keep up with rivals, including Auburn, which appears willing to spend its way out of mediocrity. Arnold's case also exposes a larger dilemma: is the nil a motivator for players to perform at their best, or does it create an environment where financial considerations can overshadow the focus on the game? Alabama, with its tradition of development and performance, will have to balance these issues to maintain its preeminence. It's not enough to compete for talent, it has to mold it, and Bama's culture of excellence could be an asset in this competitive landscape. DeBoer faces the challenge of keeping Alabama at the forefront even as rivals like Auburn become more aggressive. If NIL is the new currency of college football, the Crimson Tide have all the tools to use it as an extension of their winning tradition. But this case makes it clear that in a sport increasingly influenced by off-field factors, success will be measured as much by adaptability as on-field quality. Even Bama's CEO is asking for donations. We'll get to that in a minute. And could another injury derail Bama? Alabama will face the challenge of playing in the Really Quest Bowl against Michigan without one of its defensive cornerstones, safety Malachi Moore. The veteran of the team, who was named to the second-team All-American by the Associated Press, suffered an injury that has plagued him for much of the season. Now, after a long battle to stay on the field, he will not be able to participate in the matchup in Tampa on December 31st. Coach Kalen DeBoer was clear in explaining the situation. Moore, who accumulated 70 tackles, 2 interceptions, 8 pass breakups, 3 tackles for loss, 1 sack, 2 forced fumbles and 1 fumble recovery, had been dealing with a nagging injury. The coach revealed that Moore was scheduled to undergo surgery on Wednesday, which sealed his absence from the bowl. DeBoer, with a careful and respectful approach, said Moore wanted to do everything he could to stay on the field, but he reached a point where his physical condition would no longer allow him to participate. The loss of Moore is a big blow for Alabama, which will have a young roster to cover its position in the bowl game. DeBoer mentioned that the team will mix and match players at safety, trying to balance the experience of Bray Hubbard with the potential of youngsters like Xavier Mincy. Even without Moore, Alabama has shown resilience, and the defense is expected to still be a significant force against a tough opponent like Michigan. Moore's absence, however, does not diminish his importance this season. The fifth-year player was a key player in the Crimson Tide's defense, being a key figure in many critical moments during the season. His ability to make tackles, intercept passes and force turnovers was essential to Alabama's consistency throughout the year. Now, the spotlight turns to their replacements, who will have the opportunity to prove themselves in a high-profile setting. For Alabama, the game against Michigan will be a showcase for young talent, who will need to adapt quickly to the pressure of a high-profile bowl game. Kalen DeBoer's team, still adjusting to the new coach's leadership, will have to deal with the absence of one of its stars and find new ways to maintain the standard of excellence that has been the hallmark of the program. Let's move on. Not even Nick Saban saw this coming. Alabama Athletic Director Greg Byrne didn't mince words when he called on Crimson Tide fans to take crucial action at a time of great change in college football. In a scenario where the NIL and the transfer portal are changing team dynamics and increasingly influencing player decisions, Byrne made a direct appeal for Bama Nation to unite and fight for their team. The reality is clear: the impact of the NIL has been profound, and rival teams are not shying away from offering millions of dollars to lure high-level players, especially those who play a decisive role in Alabama's campaigns. The competition isn't just on the field, but off it as well, with financial offers shaping the trajectory of athletes and altering the recruiting balance. The situation is even more challenging for Alabama, which has seen some of its stars courted with promises of big paydays by other institutions. In his remarks, Byrne highlighted how competitive the Crimson Tide has been in the NIL, but he also acknowledged that rivals are stepping up their game, using aggressive financial offers to entice players who have previously been committed to Alabama's tradition. In a post on X, the director was quick to say that it's time for Bama Nation to fight back. The message was clear: the support of the fan base is needed now more than ever to keep the program competitive and able to handle the external financial pressure that other schools are putting on their players. By inviting fans to get involved and support the Alabama program, Byrne is urging everyone to join the fight to ensure that Alabama remains a major player in college football. He encouraged fans to visit ya-alabama.com/join, a platform created to mobilize donations and strengthen the Crimson Tide's financial presence in the NIL. Through this mobilization, Byrne hopes that Bama Nation can provide the support needed to compete in this new recruiting environment, where money and visibility have become as essential as on-field performance. Byrne's call reflects a major shift in college football, where universities now rely not only on their legacy and facilities, but also on the involvement and direct investment of their fans to remain competitive. Indeed, the NIL issue has not been easy. Kane Womack breaking down the latest on Bama's new recruit. The Crimson Tide welcomed another important addition the other day with the arrival of defensive end Kelby Collins, an Alabama native who brings with him experience gained from 2 seasons at Florida before deciding to enter the transfer portal. The addition of Collins is a strategic move to strengthen Alabama's defensive line, with the defender promising to contribute significantly to the team's future under the guidance of defensive coordinator Kane Womack. Womack, who has a close connection to the Crimson Tide coaching staff, highlighted the importance of this addition, citing the previous relationships several members of the coaching staff have with Collins, especially head coach Freddie Roach. That personal connection played a key role in the decision to bring Collins back to his home state, and Womack made no secret of his enthusiasm about the player's potential. "Excited to have Kelby Collins on board," Womack said. "Kelby is a guy that a lot of us have had a relationship with before, Freddie Roach in particular. He's a guy from Alabama who's had SEC production, and I'm excited to see what he does with us. Collins has an imposing frame that turns heads, and his numbers at Florida prove he is what it takes to play at the highest level. During his 2 seasons as a Gator, he recorded 29 tackles, 1.5 sacks and a forced fumble. Those numbers are indicative of a player with a good sense of the game and the ability to impact a defense, and now he has the opportunity to continue the development in Tuscaloosa." Womack detailed how Collins will begin his journey at Alabama, revealing that he will be positioned as a defensive end. Collins' use at that position, which requires strength and speed to pressure the opposing quarterback and stop the run game, is in line with what Womack believes the player's potential is. "He's going to be a thug for us, playing the defensive end position. He's a big guy, Womack said. It's going to be exciting to get on the field and work with him. However, Womack also made it clear that Collins is still a work in progress. The defensive coordinator noted that players with Collins' stature and skill set can't be put into a rigid box, as his flexibility and ability to adapt to the needs of the defense will be crucial. But I think guys like that are great structures that are still developing, Womack said. I don't know if we want to put them in any particular box. That's where he'll start. As Alabama continues its search for other reinforcements in the transfer portal, Collins' arrival is a clear indication that the team is preparing to maintain its elite defensive tradition while adapting to the changes and challenges of the nil era, as has been rumored. What do you think? Leave your comments.